Next up, very soon, in the next few seconds, is coming up, Chris with AT&T Business, and I am so massively excited to learn from him in our briefing session. Chris Donan, who's Vice President of Business Sales at AT&T. I had the honor to kind of do a pre-briefing call with him, and man, Chris is on fire. I just spent and there he is. I just spent only a few minutes with Chris, and I was like, I'm going to tell my team this, Chris. I kind of wanted to work for Chris. He's an awesome leader. But Chris Donan, Vice President of Business Sales at AT&T, thank you for joining us today. I am so excited to hear your insights with us. Thank you.
Yeah, Ramon, you are bringing the energy, man. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate you inviting me. It was nice to hear Anita speak in small business trends, something I got to go check out myself. Really appreciate you inviting me. I'm thrilled to be here with this group. I know we got a lot of attendees. I think my smartwatch is going to run out of batteries with the number of Twitter notifications I'm getting right now. It's really blowing up out there. I'm pleased to be here with everybody.
Indeed, that's a good problem to have. And Chris, let me just tell everybody understands, is this the corporate AT&T headquarters? Is this like where the millions of employees are? Or is this maybe, Chris, another location?
Yeah, this is where everybody is. We invite them to the Donan household in Dallas. Yeah, exactly. We are all working. I mean, about 50% of AT&T's workforce is deployed as essential workers. The rest are all working from home. For many people, it's new. So a lot of people are getting used to doing that themselves. But I'm coming at you live from Dallas. It's just me, 3 dogs, a cat, 3 kids. It's Noah's Ark in the Donan household right now.
I love it, man. I love it. Listen, we're excited to have you here. We got about 30 minutes together, and I want to remind everybody, questions, comments you have for Chris for AT&T Business, throw them in the Twitter stream, tag AT&T Business. The hashtag is Survive Thrive. Do that. AT&T employees, don't make fun or heckle Chris too much. Remember, after this, he can get you back. And those who want to have comments or thoughts or chats, kudos for Chris, questions, feel free to put them in the Microsoft meetings area, Microsoft my question area for Chris as well. And if we can, we'll take some of those as well. But Chris has a lot of knowledge to share, a leader leading a team of people. Chris, before we begin, I know there's really 3 key pillars I want to give you time to tell us about today. But if you don't mind, Chris, can you give us a peek into the world you have, whatever numbers you wish to share, not just what your leadership. And the reason I say this, Chris, is because even though we are small businesses, I have learned so much from the bigger brands, but the bigger people who are leading those brands, because how you inspire, hundreds of thousands of sales or whatever it is, people, we can learn for our own small business. So take a minute or two, Chris, to unpack your world and who you are so we understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, you got it. I can do that. That's easy to do. Thank you also for inviting my team to make fun of me on Twitter. I know they will take you up on that as well. It's going to be a fun one to read back and forth later.
Indeed.
All right, so a little bit about me and what I do. I work for AT&T Business. I serve, my job is to serve small, medium-sized businesses across the United States, really 37 states. So everything east of the Rockies is what I'm responsible for. I have the responsibility of leading and working alongside 1,300 solutions and technology specialists that work directly with small businesses and supporting their needs and also supporting them through, this crisis. Small business is a golden thread across AT&T. We were a small business once. It was just Dr. Watson and Alexander Graham Bell disrupting the telecommunications industry, which I have a couple of comments on it about that a little bit later. But when you think about this and being here today with you, and I appreciate your invite, is, small business is the heartbeat of America. And the health of their business is directly tied to helping our communities thrive. And so being here with this group is an extraordinary privilege to be able to do that. And I think that, small business needs us now more than ever, and we need them. So finding ways to support in any way that we can is something that we've been focused on. And to us, actions mean more than ads, which is why I'm joining you here at Strive and Thrive today.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And I think you're so right. I think in good times, not that we don't need each other, but everybody knows the AT&T has stores all over, and AT&T Business, you don't think of it. But man, when times are tough, that's when I'm saying this kudos to AT&T Business, not just for being a part of this, Chris, your time and energy, all that your team has done, put this together behind the scenes. But really, I know AT&T is doing a ton of stuff for its customers, for non-customers to help things. So let's dive into it, Chris. I don't want to steal your thunder, but those three N's, now, next, and new were powerful to me, Chris. I'd love for you to break that down, because I think this concept is critical to small business success when times are sucky, when things are not going well. But I hope as we get through this and look towards better times, we should remember the tips you have here. So take a few minutes, Chris, and unpack that, if you don't mind, these three core principles you have.
Yeah, I'll talk through it, and please jump in, Ramon, as we go through this too. And if there are any questions that pop up, I'm happy to address them. But the way that we've been thinking about this pandemic and really giving guidance to our technology specialists that serve small businesses is something that I borrowed from a partner of ours a couple of years ago that now means so much. And it is all about now, next, and new. And let me break down what those three things mean. Now, we're kind of at the tail end of now right now. When the pandemic hit and doors started to close, small businesses were asking questions about, what do I do right now? How do I keep my doors open? How do I keep my employees working and on payroll? Do I need to conserve cash? Do I have the opportunity to grow right now? How do I pivot my brick and mortar business now to something that is online or digital in a day or a week or a month? And it's at those times that we need to be there now for our customers in order to support them. So back to that point about actions more than ads. A few things that we focused on the now phase was we pledged $1.2 million to small businesses to support that focus on distance learning. That was a number one priority as we reached out to the local government education space. As my kids are at home, learning themselves now. We've also entered into a partnership with American Express and 40 other businesses for Stand for Small. And this is something that, where we've teamed up with these 40 other businesses on offering tools, offers, consulting, just to help small businesses. For us, it's about collaboration and connections and what we can do to support them there. And of course, on the first responder side, AT&T has FirstNet, something and the only dedicated network for first responders, where we want to ensure that they have access to the best network available to them. Being connected has never been more important than it is right now, which I know we'll talk a little bit more about. And then, the demand for mobile hotspots and mobile broadband has been incredible. So enabling a remote workforce in quantities and demand that's greater than what this industry has ever seen before. Our network has stood the test. We've been able to deliver those, get those connections out to our clients on the now phase, and now moving into next a little bit and new, which we'll hit on too. And then, of course, our fiber footprint, which has been performing flawlessly. We have the largest fiber footprint in the United States. Next closest competitor, about half as much as where we're at. And it's critical. I mean, think about this great webcast that you guys have put together. All of these are connections. They're either connected over mobile or they're connected over a terrestrial connection. And it's all the foundation of that technology, that network, and why now was so critical. And like I said, we're coming off the tail end of now, where we saw the demand in now was in state government, local government, education, and then some verticals like healthcare, grocers, grocer supply, healthcare workers, anything that's first responder adjacent has been an incredible focus for us, and will continue to be so.
And I think that now is critical, Chris. That now is going to underline that now is everything. And I think that's AT&T is focusing on now. I think small businesses need to focus on the now. What can I do? Because, now is now. So I think kudos. And I think that the other thing I want to underline about the partnerships, many of us are focusing on PPP and other things like that. And this session today, ladies and gentlemen listening, we're not going to take those questions today. Thank you. Hold them. But there's enough organizations that can deal with it. But there's a lot of other money that's being done by larger companies like yourself that are putting into different pools of money beyond what the federal government can do. So I just want to underline that I think it's an important concept as well. We talk about the now for AT&T and the now for small businesses overall. Please go ahead.
Yeah, and the opportunity side, as you start moving into next, and what we're seeing there is a lot of questions that we get from clients as we move into the next phase. They start thinking about the next phase is, okay, this is going on a lot longer than I thought it was going to. What's working that I'm doing now that could work permanently? Is this going to give me an edge over my competition as a result of that? Should I invest to get ahead, during this time? And that's quite a big decision to think about, being a small business. It's a big bet, to make.
Yeah.
And we're having those conversations with small businesses now. I'll give you a couple of examples of what that looks like.
Please.
And I'll give them to you now. So two that I'll throw out there. The first one is small places of worship. So think about this. You can't go to large congregations. No more than 10 people can congregate. You're supposed to be keeping 6 feet apart. So what do? You have to move to an online model. And you also think about the outreach that these places of worship have in their communities and being able to have that face-to-face connection. How do you do it? Over technology. So what are the technologies that you can use in order to have that reliable personal connection that you and I are having right now, that we had yesterday? How can we enable you and get those to you quickly so that you don't skip a beat in delivering the services that your congregations demand?
And Chris, I just want to echo that about the church, Chris, is that it's so important. As a person who goes to church myself, a person of faith, and some people are not, some people are. But the point is, people don't notice the back end work. We just, I want to hear my pastor or whoever, it be in your faith, whatever you're doing, and it doesn't work. You don't care about Chris or what's happening. You're like, why? So thank you for that, because I think it's the hard work of you and the team, people who could be in uniform, non-uniform office or not, who are doing that. And Chris, I don't want to interrupt your train of thought, but I just want to kudos. Ivana Taylor says AT&T Business, the Twitter handle, so please tell your person what Ivana said, is working, collaborating with so many communities, keeping small business spirit alive. So kudos, you have some fans here, just people liking even what AT&T Business is doing as well. So please continue on. I want to shout that out to you.
No, it's a great point. And I know that there are some small businesses on the line with us now. I spoke with a couple of them earlier today that are IT professionals, and it's kind of like one of those professions where everything's working. What do we pay you for? Nothing's working. What do you pay you for? It's the magic behind everything. It's the technology. It's the hamsters running the wheel. It's the unicorns and the fairy dust that make everything work. The other example that I'll give on the next side, as you think about how business models change during a crisis, is senior living and telehealth. So think about the senior living environment. One thing that you don't want is to have strangers or folks that are coming into the senior living community that don't live there. And so a couple of examples there is, let's make sure that we provide some iPads, some devices so that they can communicate with family members and still be able to be connected to the outside world. That's really important. We need to be able to enable our small businesses that provide those services to be able to do that. And then on the telehealth, telemedicine side, they also don't want to travel outside, to go and get, their prescriptions, make sure that they're able to talk to their care providers and be supported. And that goes for people that are also being cared at home. We think about, perspective at working at AT&T is we always talk about dial tone doesn't cure cancer. We're about as close as we can get to it right now. And it's been a service mission on the next side. So we see small businesses thinking about, my model's changed. Some of this is going to continue. What do I need to invest in to make it better in the future? The other point that I'll bring up is security. Bad actors are taking advantage of this. You guys have seen it just from your personal and consumer devices. There's a lot more phishing scams. There's also a lot of denial of service attacks. That means a bunch of bots and zombie machines converging. I love it, man. You and I could play charades. We'd be guessing we'd be fantastic, Ramon. Yeah, you're good. All right. So they're all converging to one spot, and you need to be able to protect your environment, especially as you move to more of an online model. AT&T's network distributes those attacks when we work with clients that are worried about those type of environments. And then the new side is something that's interesting too. I'll hit on that next. Do you have any other questions or comments on
No,
that?
yeah, I just wanted to touch on that. It's interesting how more and more people, Chris, you're hearing, I'm in the local New York area market and I hear radio quite a bit. That's just my thing. And the ads are even shifting. You see, I'm not a medical, you hear things, what do you call it? Like on the side of your head, you don't pay attention closely until it affects you. But the point is, I'm trying to say is that these holistic health and all this, you're hearing the ads now, don't come in, just dial a number and we'll do it videos, what I'm trying to say. So more companies though, and I think it's not just also because of COVID and Corona as we're talking today, Chris, that's the current, as we're talking now, emergency. But I think people are thinking ahead. Even my pastor is kind of old school church and all that. I'm like, I didn't say dude, but sir or miss, whatever. I was like, you know what? We don't have to go into a building as much now. So to your point, I think people also thinking differently about all this medicine, worship, whatever it may be. So, but to your point, but
and
what's up with you?
I think you hit on some really good points, on that. The models will change for sure. Some of us were built for social distancing. If I can elect, not a handoff, I'll probably do that. I don't like going into malls. I don't know how many people do. It's all good if you're one of those people. I'm just not. So you think about how people will change and how models will change. We got to get out in front of that as small businesses, because the most exciting part about working with small businesses is the new side. Because this is the moment, like this moment right now, what unprecedented times, we hear that, a million times on commercials and what we see across, in conversations we have with your customers or, with our friends and colleagues, is that during this time, it also presents a lot of opportunity for disruption. And disruption comes from this space, from entrepreneurs, from emerging businesses, from small businesses. And this is where innovation comes from. Innovation comes from this space, from this market, from small business. And small business, there's nothing small about small business, guys. Like this is the place that you're going to see the growth come from. You're going to see some amazing technological innovations that come out during this time frame, and it's all going to come from here. It's probably going to come from many of the people that are on the bridge right now.
That's right.
And about who are the people that you trust, that you want to talk to, that will help you collaborate on that innovation, how your business runs, and then how do you match up the technology to support that? So I'll bring up a point. So Moore's Law is something, from a technology standpoint, you see it, double. It's going even faster, guys. You think about our technology and how it's evolved over time, going even faster, providing more bandwidth, connecting more places. We're connected all the time. We've got devices on us right now that are connected more than we ever have before. That's right. You see, all these things are connected by technology, by AT&T. You have to be able to capitalize on this time frame. Clayton Christensen was a Harvard business professor, a thought leader within business management, and sadly passed away in January. He coined the concept of disruptive innovation. And his theory was that small and emerging companies offer a better solution to the needs of their customers in their niche market will push older and established corporations to the side. Think about this. This has happened many times, and it will happen in even greater frequency right now as things change. None of this can be accomplished without technology. Graveyards are full of firms who ignored competitive threats that were underpinned by technology.
It's true.
And like I brought up before, AT&T was a small business. It was just Watson and Alexander Graham Bell and Western Union. You remember anybody used to receive the telegraph in the past? They scoffed at AT&T. This is not going to work. AT&T is now a big company. You see these things emerge over time. It's the same concept of ship makers scoffing at steamboats. Technology again, the big shift in what you see. All disruption is tech-based, and technology, solutions, and people, they're the foundation of all of this. It is what innovation is built upon. And my team's purpose is to create connections. So with each other, with what we need to thrive in our everyday lives, with the stories and experiences that matter to you. And we invest in those connections, and we'll never stop, so that you have a technology solution platform to innovate from. So focusing on this space in particular to build that innovation off of technology is really what my team focuses and thrives upon, so that we can build
That's
up the small
powerful.
business. Yeah.
I'm curious, Chris, how do you, and I don't want to, as you know, when people say I don't want to put you on the spot, I guess they are putting you on the spot, but I'm curious, Chris,
Yeah.
how do you, representing your whole organization, whether it's you or another department, how does AT&T keep its edge? Because you all are, in fairness, that large company that's been there. And I think part of the, being at South by, which is not a bad thing, it's a good partnership in a way. You have the small 2 guys in a garage, 3 girls in a studio, they build something cool. AT&T buys it or whatever, so it doesn't always, but that's good. But my question is, how do you make sure, Chris, that you yourself, that your reports, that even your sales staff, or that overall your colleagues, that you guys aren't going to be trounced 5 years, 10 years? How do you keep your edge that we can learn from you for us small businesses? What do you all do, the big boys and girls do, that we can learn from to kind of think ahead and stay ahead? How do you do that?
I think that it's just genuinely being curious.
Yeah.
And I think that small businesses are best at doing that. Back to that point of graveyards being full of big businesses that ignored the technology. Had they been curious, they would have been able to get in front of it, to work with small businesses, to help evolve them. We have a culture of innovation. So it's ingrained within our community. We have foundries where we work with small businesses, like many of you out there. Guys, I'm encouraging you to contact us from a small business standpoint so we can work with you in these type of environments. But we have a foundry environment where we work with small businesses to develop new products off of our technology. So Internet of Things is a real focus for us, clearly. Healthcare, as I mentioned to you before, we have a spread across the world where we focus specifically on small businesses. AT&T Labs, Bell Labs, one of the largest patent creators in the world. Is something that's been a part of our fabric for as long as we've existed. So I think that in order to be successful within AT&T, in order for the people to be successful and want to actually be here, you have to have a genuine curiosity in helping, supporting, and learning more. For me in particular, I read a lot. And my company encourages me with different tracks to try out. Right now I'm testing out Six Sigma. I'm an engineer, I'm going to work for an engineering company. I have got to keep getting better and better and more efficient. And Six Sigma is one of those tools that we use. So that's just like one example, but hopefully kind of the history side of it. Yeah. It's, for every small business, it's curiosity. The fabric of innovation has to sit within you in order to continue to drive it.
Now, these are gems. We have about 7 minutes to go. So listen, keep the Twitter chat hot and live. Tag AT&T Business, tag Chris. You can find him on Twitter, but definitely want to keep that conversation going. If you have a specific question for Chris, and thank you for some of the comments coming in already here, feel free to put it in the My Questions chat. You guys can find it on the Microsoft Teams platform, so we can ask Chris that, or I can just kudos to him, whatever you want to say. And I think that this is so important, because I think that one thing I find for all small businesses, Chris, and I deal with this at the small business level, this aspect of curiosity doesn't mean you have to know everything, doesn't mean it's going to work per se, but I think at least being open, because those who aren't open, it's not going to happen. I'm curious, Chris, what do you and your team, the message that you often give to small business customers? You may have said it already, so if this is repeat, we can move on. But the point is, are there any particular things as you look at, and I know you can't shake the hand or give a high five to every one of your customers, but through the lens of your team, through the lens of the people you lead, what are you either hearing from customers, or what is that message that you always try to drive home, maybe that you haven't said, that you always try to inspire them with when you go into a local, I don't know, bread shop or chapstick shop or wherever you're at? What is that thing you're hearing?
It's a great question. One thing that we've been very focused on now, and it depends on the environment and the market and the clients that we're speaking with. I mentioned, I serve millions of customers across 37 states, so the conversations are all unique and subjective. And right now, one of the things that we're focused on not doing is asking people, is there anything I can do to help? I think that question it's an outward portrayal of anxiety, because if you ask someone, how can you help? What if I don't know? So the next step, what really adds value, what I'm asking my team to focus on, is thinking about the vertical or the client that they're going to speak to, and have a couple of things that will help them. And if it doesn't, we part ways and move a different direction. So just like I brought up that senior living community, do you think that we contacted every senior living community that we knew? That we know that they're open, we know that they're essential, and we know that we might be able to save a life if we were able to support them with a solution. For the places of worship, same concept. We're going to go in and talk about a solution rather than asking them, what can we do to help? We know what we can do. And that's what I ask my team to focus on. So you brought up the training side. We train a lot. We learn as much as we can. We become experts. We become certified. We get certifications. We pay for them. We pay for our employees to continue their education. And then we ask them to go and apply it by not just asking what they can do to help, but telling and showing customers what we can do to help. Because technology is tough. If the first question I ask you as a client, do you want a static or a dynamic IP address? You would fall asleep. That is the worst question to ask. The best question to ask is the genuine curiosity. What do you do for a living? How do you make money? What are you struggling with? I have a couple of ideas for you. Let's talk about these.
I love it.
And if it's not a fit, we will move on. I will always be here for you if there's something that I can do to support you.
Yeah, for sure. We have a few more minutes to go, but while we're doing that, if the production team wants to put up, I know those who may want to hearing from Chris and be like, I want to either a beard like Chris, or I want to work with Chris, or maybe I just want to hear more from AT&T to get some of those solutions. Feel free to put that deck up with the number and other elements we had. If you all want to put that up now while we're chatting a bit, you can put that up. I think it's the next one with the QR code and things. But Chris, a few more things to bring out from you, Chris, is that I think that it's important. And I think that a big company like AT&T, I think that we're honored at the Survive and Thrive Summit that even though you're a very large company, you're supporting very, very small businesses. And I think for me, I see that dynamic always of interest, that to see how a larger company, you have so many different needs and different resources than we smaller businesses have. But I think that beautiful partnership. So I think that for me, I think that's important to think about. And I think that also, as you said, Chris, that many of us small businesses, we don't know what to ask for. And that's so true. And I think that kudos to my friend. Her name is Adrienne Miller of Adrienne Network. She's a master sales trainer. And I think, Chris, this is not a sales segment, but I think it's interesting because sometimes the small business owners, we ask the wrong question, we get the wrong answer. I think what I'm hearing you say, one thing to underline is just go with how you can help them because you know what you can do and you know it works. So that's what I'm seeing, Chris.
Yeah, if you unload what you're looking to do and what you're looking to accomplish, if you have a qualified person on the other side, they should be able to help you and give you ideas. And that's what our purpose is. And also as you flash up those numbers and how to contact me and my team, if you guys have any beard tips at all, feel free to pass them along. I've been growing this thing out since the beginning. Ramon and I were laughing about this yesterday. It's Jim Carrey on Twitter that I think he said please, I'm going to document my meaningless transformation. I am doing that right now. This may be the last time that the universe sees me with a beard. But back to your point, you do need someone that's, unload on someone, provide them what you're trying to accomplish, trust them to come back with a solution. That's what I'd offer up with my team and what we're willing to do to continue to support small businesses. You'll always be able to catch us live once we get, the ability to share how to contact us.
No, for sure. And Chris, kudos Cheryl, who's my fellow colleague with the National Speakers Association. She just kudos to you. Good point about disruptive technology will be key. So she's just thanking you. And she says, Chris, how do you keep your edge? But I think we've heard some point as well about that. And listen, I'm going to play along here. Anybody who tweets out, just have fun to Chris about a beard tip or whatever, I'm going to send you a free copy of my book. I'm going to, in the USA. So do that, tag Ramon, tag AT&T Business, let's have some fun. Yeah. I know this is serious time. Many are suffering, but you know what? We're going to get through this, and it's good to have a little laugh at some point. But Chris, listen, I've been amazed at having you here. Thank you for you, Catalina. Kudos to Catalina for putting this all together, Chris, and thank you for providing your leadership and insight at the Survive and Thrive Summit, Chris. But thank you.
I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak with this group. I'd encourage all of you as entrepreneurs and leaders to think about your now, next, and new, whether it's with AT&T or someone else there across the globe. Trust technology providers to help you innovate and disrupt. I think that that's something that's critical for you. You will disrupt this economy. A few of you out there on this call will, and we want to be there to support you. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with this group, Ramon, and I'm looking forward to staying in touch with you and serving all of those people out on the bridge today.
Chris, I appreciate it, man, and I'm voting for Chris. Thank you, brother. Take care and be safe. Enjoy those dogs and your family.
All right, adios.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Chris Donan, Vice President of Business Sales at AT&T. Wow, wow, wow.